Welcome to YouTube Pedia. When you hear the name Dave Bautista, you might immediately picture a muscular superhero on the big screen or a fierce warrior dominating the wrestling ring. But behind the fame, the championships, and the Hollywood lights lies a story of incredible struggle, resilience, and transformation. This is the story of a man who fought not just in arenas, but in life itself. A journey that began in the toughest of circumstances. Discover the greatest stories from history, science, and beyond. If you're curious about the world, subscribe now and join our journey through knowledge. Dave Bautista was born on January 18, 1969 in Washington, D.C., into a world that wasn't kind or easy. Growing up in a rough neighborhood, Bautista's early life was filled with hardship. Crime, violence, and poverty were not distant fears, they were everyday realities. His parents' marriage didn't last, and young Dave found himself navigating a broken home, feeling the absence of stability and security. His father, of Filipino descent, was a hairdresser, and his mother, of Greek heritage, later came out as a lesbian, something that added even more complexity to Dave's young life, especially during a time when acceptance was not widespread. Despite loving his mother dearly, Bautista often felt like an outsider, a misfit trying to survive in an environment that seemed designed to break him. By the age of 13, Dave was stealing cars. He wasn't proud of it, it was simply a desperate attempt to survive. At 17, he was already living on his own, trying to find any way to make ends meet. His teenage years were marked by odd jobs, bouncer, lifeguard, nightclub security. Every day was a battle, not for fame or glory, but for survival. These early experiences carved resilience into his bones. Dave wasn't handed anything. Every meal, every night of shelter, every shred of dignity was earned through struggle. These scars of hardship would later fuel his unstoppable drive to succeed. Amidst the chaos, Dave discovered something that would change his life: bodybuilding. The gym became his sanctuary, a place where the world's cruelty couldn't reach him. It wasn't just about building muscles, it was about building self-respect, discipline, and a future he could control. Encouraged by his growing strength and impressive physique, Bautista considered professional wrestling. It wasn't an easy road. Early on, he was told flat out by wrestling legend SGT, Buddy Lee Parker, that he would never make it in the wrestling business. Many people would have given up at that moment, but not Dave. He turned rejection into fuel. Determined, Bautista sought proper training and eventually found himself under the tutelage of a Fat Anui, a member of the legendary Samoan wrestling family. Slowly but surely, Dave began to transform from a lost kid into a focused, determined performer. Dave's big break came when he signed with World Wrestling Entertainment, WWE, initially under the ring name Leviathan. Portrayed as a monstrous villain, Leviathan wreaked havoc in Ohio Valley Wrestling, OVW, WWE's developmental territory. But it wasn't until he rebranded himself as Bautista and joined forces with Triple H, Ric Flair, and Randy Orton in the powerful faction known as Evolution that his career skyrocketed. This group dominated WWE in the early 2000s, with Bautista playing the role of the Muscle, the unstoppable force. Fans immediately took notice. Bautista wasn't just another big guy, he had an undeniable presence, a mixture of raw strength and simmering emotion that made him magnetic. In 2005, Bautista's career reached its zenith when he won the Royal Rumble, earning a shot at the World Heavyweight Championship at WrestleMania 21. In one of the most memorable matches in WWE history, Bautista defeated Triple H, his mentor, to become champion. The student had surpassed the master. Bautista's animal persona captivated audiences. His ferocity inside the ring was matched only by his intense charisma outside of it. Whether battling the likes of The Undertaker, John Cena, or Edge, Bautista brought an intensity that few could match. He became a multiple-time world champion, headlining WrestleManias, and cementing his place as one of WWE's biggest stars. But behind the cheers and bright lights, personal battles were raging. Success didn't shield Bautista from pain. Wrestling is a punishing business, and over time, the physical toll mounted. He suffered multiple injuries, bicep tears, back issues, hamstring problems that required surgeries and lengthy recovery periods. Outside the ring, life wasn't any easier. Bautista went through 2 divorces and struggled with strained family relationships. Fame and fortune couldn't heal old wounds or solve personal demons. For a man who had fought so hard to build a life of security, it often seemed like stability remained just out of reach. During interviews, Bautista has candidly admitted to battling depression, loneliness, and self-doubt, even at the height of his success. His honesty about his struggles made him even more relatable to fans, showing that even the animal had vulnerable moments. By 2010, Bautista's relationship with WWE had become strained. Creative frustrations, combined with his desire to pursue other passions, especially acting, led to his decision to leave the company. His departure wasn't a quiet exit. It was marked by dramatic storylines and a storyline "I Quit" match against John Cena. But behind the scenes, it was a man closing one chapter of his life to open another, far less certain one. Leaving wrestling was a huge risk. Bautista was stepping out of his comfort zone, away from a world where he was celebrated, into an industry where he would have to start from the very bottom once again. But if his life had taught him anything, it was this: Dave Bautista was no stranger to starting over. He was ready for the fight ahead. When Dave Bautista walked away from the WWE, he wasn't just leaving behind the wrestling ring, he was stepping into an unknown world, a world where he was the animal, but simply a beginner again. Hollywood can be brutal, especially to athletes trying to cross over. But as always, Bautista approached it with determination, humility, and an unwavering belief that he could succeed. Dave's early days in acting were anything but glamorous. He took small roles in low-budget films, appearing in projects like The Scorpion King 3, Battle for Redemption, and House of the Rising Sun. He knew he wasn't a trained actor. He knew he had a lot to learn. And unlike many who might have coasted on their fame, Bautista rolled up his sleeves and got to work. He studied acting seriously, took lessons, and treated every small role as an opportunity to get better. During interviews, he often talks about how hard it was, how he had to leave his ego at the door and accept that he was starting from scratch. While some audiences initially only saw him as the wrestler turned actor, Dave was determined to be taken seriously in Hollywood. Everything changed in 2014, when Bautista was cast as Drax the Destroyer in Marvel's Guardians of the Galaxy. At first, some doubted the casting choice. How could a former wrestler bring to life such a complex character? But when the film hit theaters, Bautista stole the show. His portrayal of Drax, a fierce warrior with a heartbreaking past and unintentionally hilarious delivery, won over critics and fans alike. Dave brought something unexpected to the role: depth. Drax wasn't just muscle, he was vulnerable, emotional, and at times profoundly moving. This wasn't just a performance, it was a revelation. Bautista proved he could be more than a tough guy. He could make audiences laugh, cry, and connect with a blue-skinned alien who had lost everything. Drax opened doors that had been closed before. Hollywood started seeing Dave Bautista not just as a novelty, but as a genuine actor. After Guardians, Bautista's career exploded. He didn't stick to the same type of roles. Instead, he challenged himself with diverse characters, from action-packed thrillers to deeply emotional dramas. He appeared in Spectre 2015 as Mr. Hinks, a silent but terrifying assassin in the James Bond franchise. Even with almost no dialogue, Bautista's presence was magnetic. He later admitted that it was one of the most intimidating experiences of his life, acting opposite Daniel Craig in one of cinema's most iconic franchises. Then came Blade Runner 2049-2017, where he played Sapper Morton, a replicant living in hiding. It was a small role, but critics praised Bautista's quiet, powerful performance. In just a few minutes of screen time, he showed a new side of his abilities: subtlety, nuance, and emotional weight. Unlike many action stars, Bautista wasn't afraid to be vulnerable on screen. He wasn't trying to look cool, he was trying to be real, and audiences loved him for it. Dave continued to land major roles, but he stayed true to himself. He often talked about how he didn't want to be a stereotypical muscle guy actor. He didn't want his characters to be one-dimensional or mindless. He wanted depth, story, heart. In films like Stuber 2019 and My Spy 2020, he showed his comedic timing, proving he could handle both laughs and action. And in Zack Snyder's Army of the Dead 2021, he led an ensemble cast in a zombie heist movie, again balancing strength and sensitivity. What made Bautista different from other action stars was his vulnerability. His characters often showed pain, grief, fear, and that made them feel real. He wasn't interested in playing invincible superheroes. He wanted to play flawed, complex human characters, and that's exactly what he did. Success in Hollywood didn't make Bautista forget where he came from. In fact, the more successful he became, the more he reflected on his difficult past. Dave became an advocate for mental health awareness, openly discussing his battles with depression, anxiety, and insecurity. He spoke about the importance of therapy, emotional healing, and surrounding yourself with supportive people. He also proudly supported his mother and the LGBTQ+ community, becoming an outspoken advocate for equality. For Bautista, it wasn't about politics. It was about love, family, and standing up for what's right. Despite his tough exterior, Bautista's heart is evident in everything he does. Whether it's rescuing abandoned dogs, supporting veterans, or speaking up for marginalized communities, he uses his platform to make a real difference. Although Dave briefly returned to WWE for a storyline in 2019, culminating in a match against Triple H at WrestleMania 35, he officially retired from professional wrestling after that. This time it was final. He left the ring with his head held high, proud of what he had accomplished and ready to fully embrace his acting career. His final WWE match wasn't about winning a title. It was about closure, about paying respect to the industry that had given him so much, and about saying goodbye to the character that had helped him find his true self. Today, Dave Bautista is not just a former wrestler or a Hollywood actor. He's an inspiration, a symbol of transformation, perseverance, and authenticity. He's an artist who never stopped learning, a fighter who never stopped evolving, and a human being who never stopped caring. When you look at Dave's journey, from a broken neighborhood in Washington, D.C. to wrestling world champion to respected Hollywood star, you see more than just fame and fortune. You see a man who never gave up on himself, even when the world did. He redefined what it means to be a hero, not by being perfect, but by being real. And in doing so, Dave Bautista carved out a legacy that will last far beyond the movies or the matches. A legacy built on heart, courage, and the unwavering belief that it's never too late to change your story. If you enjoyed this deep dive into Dave Bautista's incredible journey, Don't forget to hit that like button. It really helps the channel grow. I'd love to hear your thoughts. Drop a comment below and let's talk about your favorite Dave Bautista moments. And if you want more amazing stories like this, make sure to subscribe to YouTube Pedia and turn on the notifications so you never miss a new video. Thanks for watching and being part of our community.